Hello students. Let's finally get to practice. Let's create a folder on the drive for our experiments. Anywhere convenient for you. Give it a clear name. In this folder, we will store project files. Launch Blender. If you have multiple versions on your computer, make sure you are launching the one with the Armor 3D add-on installed. To compile the project, you need to save it to the hard drive first. Press Ctrl S, locate the folder you created earlier, give the file a clear name, for example, lesson number 1, and click the Save button. In this lesson, it doesn't matter what is on the scene, so you can leave it unchanged. Just make sure that our project compiles and renders in a separate window. You can do this by clicking the Start button here or here. Or if you don't want to use the mouse, you can press the F5 key. If you see the same thing in the open window as I do, then everything is working and we can continue. We will be working a lot with the console, and to fit two windows on the screen simultaneously, let's go to the output properties and reduce the viewport resolution. Let's set it to 800 by 800. Now, let's open the system console. To do this, open the window menu and select the toggle system console option. You can move the console to the left and make it narrower. Now, when compiling, both windows fit on the screen. And that's all we need for the first lesson. Well, not everything. Since we will be writing code, we need to open the logic node editor. Grab the bottom window border and make it larger. If you don't have the bottom window on the screen, it means you closed it. You can open it again by placing the cursor in one of the corners, and when the cursor becomes a cross, grab and drag it upward. Another way to add a second workspace is to move the cursor to the workspace border. Right-click, and in the menu that appears, choose how you want to split the screen. Now, I'll choose horizontally because it's more convenient for me. Now, open the selection menu and access the logic node editor. Don't confuse it with the geometry node editor. These are entirely different tools. In this window, we will be writing code. To make our lives a bit easier, let's activate an add-on that will assist us in this challenging task. Open the Edit menu and go to Preferences. Open the Add-ons tab, type the word Node in the search field. And in the list of options that appear, activate the add-on named Node Wrangler. Let's create our first script. Or you could call it a new logic branch. Click on the New button. Let's rename the logic branch right away. Let's call it Numbers. You can only use Latin letters, and the name must start with a capital letter. Now, to make this code block work after compilation, we need to link it to something. You can link it to anything, for example, to a cube, a camera, or any other object. Right now, I suggest linking this logic branch not to a specific object but to the scene. The scene is a global object that encompasses everything we can see on the screen. Let's go to the scene settings. Find the Armor 3D Scene Trait section. Add a new slot by pressing the plus button. In the menu that appears, choose Nodes and confirm the selection by clicking OK. An empty slot has appeared in the list of logic branches. Now, select the logic branch you've already created for this slot from the list. Now everything is ready. Just to be safe, let's save the project. Now, let's learn how to output information to the console. For this, we need a print block from the native group. Open the block selection menu by pressing Shift-A. In the text field, type Hello World. For this block to work and display the string in the console, it needs to receive a control signal. For example, we can use the onInit block. It will run the code chain connected to it once, immediately after the scene is loaded. Or, if we need to output the string not immediately, but at a specific moment, we can use the keyboard block. Let's switch the block to the started mode. This means that the block will trigger once every time we press the spacebar. You can change the key to any other key as you prefer, but I'll stick with the spacebar. Let's start the game. Arrange the windows so that both of them are visible. The rendering window should be active, otherwise, key presses won't be registered. You can activate the window by simply clicking on it. Now, the string is displayed in the console every time we press the spacebar. Well, now we can finally move on to the lesson topic. So, today we'll talk about numbers and basic operators. Any programming language allows you to perform basic mathematical operations such as addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. For this, we use the math block, where you can select the desired operator. The console can be used as a calculator. Let's try calculating something and display the result in the console. The math block works like this. If the addition operator is selected, it means we add the second value to the first one and output the result through the result output. Let's input some numbers there, for example, 3 and 5. Connect the result to the string channel on the print block. Now, when you press the spacebar, the console will display not text but the result of the calculation, which is the number 8. Let's try adding larger numbers, and we'll still get the correct result. If we change the operator to subtraction, the block will take the first value and subtract the second one from it. Let's input a couple of simple numbers and make sure everything works correctly. 10 minus 6. Pressing the spacebar will display the answer, which is 4, in the console. The other operators work on the same principle. The multiplication operator multiplies two values. The division operator takes the first value and divides it by the second one. Now, let's make it a bit more complex. If we need to add 4 numbers, for example, 3 plus 6 plus 5 plus 8, we need 2 more math blocks. You don't have to go into the menu for a new block. You can copy an existing one. To do this, simply select it, press Shift-D, and drop the copy next to it. If you need to reset the block settings to default, you can press Backspace. In the first block, choose the addition operator and input the first two add-ins, 3 and 6. The output will be the sum of these two numbers, and we'll pass it to the first channel of the second block, adding the number 5 to it. Now, the output of the second block will be the sum of 3 numbers, which is 14. Copy the block once more, drop it to the right. Connect the sum of 3 numbers to the first channel, and input the number 8 into the second channel. Connect the result to the print block. Start the game, press the spacebar, and get the answer, 22. When adding, the arrangement and sequence of blocks do not matter. Alternatively, you could arrange the blocks like this. First calculate two sums, and then add the obtained values in the third block. Let's make it a bit more complex. Now, let's try to calculate an expression where the sequence of actions is important. For example, like this. First, we need to determine the order of operations. The first step is to multiply 4 by 2. The second step is to divide 12 by 6. The third step requires subtracting the quotient from the product, and finally, add the result to 10. So, the first block, in multiplication mode, returns the product of 4 and 2. By the way, it's not necessary to input values into the text field of the multiplication block. We can connect these values from other blocks, for example, from integer blocks. This capability will be very useful later. Next, the second operation. Dividing 12 by 6. The third operation is subtraction. We need to subtract the second result from the first one. And the last operation. Take the number 10 and add everything we've obtained so far. Output the result to the console. The result is 16. Now, just for fun and practice, try to independently calculate this expression. If you do everything correctly, the console will display the answer 480. In the next lesson, we'll become friends with variables, learn how to declare them, and understand their usage. Goodbye for now.